Selamat datang di pengalaman gereja online hari ini. Saya sangat senang karena Anda kembali bergabung bersama kami hari ini. Dan saya yakin ibadah hari ini bisa menguatkan iman kita semua. Sebelum kita mulai ibadah hari ini, mari kita berdoa terlebih dahulu. Mari kita berdoa. Bapa, terima kasih Tuhan buat setiap kebaikan yang Engkau berikan kepada kami Tuhan. Terima kasih Bapa, di mana kami bisa berkumpul di sini Tuhan, walaupun secara online Tuhan. Dan kami yakin Bapa, ibadah hari ini akan memberikan kekuatan yang baru bagi kami Tuhan. Dan kami yakin Tuhan akan memotivasi kami Tuhan, dan kami bisa menjadi lebih dekat dengan Engkau Bapa. Engkau yang pimpin ibadah kami hari ini dari awal hingga akhir Tuhan. Berikan kami pikiran yang fokus Tuhan, berikan kami hikmat pengertian yang baru Bapa. Dan kami yakin Tuhan akan ada sesuatu yang bisa kami bawa Tuhan dalam ibadah hari ini Bapa. Terima kasih Tuhan, kami ucap syukur dan berdoa. Haleluya. Amin. Hari ini Pastores akan menyampaikan seri lanjutan dari setiap hari bersama dengan Yesus. Ketika kita mengikuti Yesus, artinya kita menyerahkan kehidupan kita sepenuhnya, mendengarkan firman-Nya, serta juga taat dan mengikuti dalam aturan serta bimbingan Tuhan Yesus. Nah, hari ini kita akan melanjutkannya. Mari kita siapkan hati kita dan catatan kita, supaya kita bisa menerima khotbah ini dengan fokus.
Alrighty, we're going to do a quick recap. Are you ready for this?
Saudara siap? Kuis? Oh, kuis, no?
I could ask a quiz, but just see if you can answer it, follow along in your mind before I get to say the words.
Iya, saya akan tanya saudara-saudara kalau ingat.
Alright, so we've learned that being a disciple means denying ourselves,
Menjadi murid Kristus artinya menyangkal diri,
daily laying down our lives,
memikul salib,
picking up our cross,
memikul salib,
and following Jesus.
dan mengikut Yesus.
And then there are 4 steps in the discipleship process.
Dan ada 4 langkah dalam proses pemuritan.
Step number 1,
Siapa ingat step yang pertama?
surrendering your life to Jesus.
Menyerahkan hidup Anda kepada Tuhan Yesus.
Step number 2,
Yang kedua,
listening
mendengarkan
teachings and guidance of Jesus.
pada pengajaran dan bimbingan Tuhan.
And the third step is
Yang ketiga,
obedience.
Ketaatan.
Yes, doing what He has asked us to do.
melakukan apa yang Tuhan mau.
And today we are covering the 4th step,
Dan hari ini kita melengkapi yang 4 langkah tersebut.
which is this: staying committed to Jesus no matter what happens in life.
Tetap berkomitmen kepada Yesus apapun yang terjadi dalam kehidupan saudara.
And so as we come to this final step today, I want to highlight the importance of persevering and remaining faithful in our journey with Jesus.
Jadi saya mau meng-highlightkan kalau pentingnya ketekunan dalam mengikut Yesus.
We want to develop a relationship, a bond with Jesus that is so close that no matter what happens in our life, that we're going to stay committed to Him.
Kita mau punya ikatan yang kuat dengan Tuhan. Jadi apapun yang terjadi, saya mau setia ikut Tuhan.
And we will experience a range of different things across our lifetimes.
Setiap kita punya perjalanan yang berbeda dalam kehidupan kita.
There will be great highs and moments of celebration and great success.
Di mana ada momen perayaan dan juga sukses.
But there will also be times of deep sadness and pain and difficulty.
Ada juga waktu di mana ada kesedihan, kesusahan dan juga rasa sakit.
But we want to be a people just like the Apostle Paul, that when we get to the end of our lives, that we'll be able to pray this prayer.
Saya mau kita belajar dari Rasul Paulus di mana ketika di akhir hidup kita, kita berdoa seperti ini.
I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, and I have kept the faith.
Aku telah mengakhiri pertandingan yang baik, aku telah mencapai garis akhir dan aku telah memelihara iman.
And so we want to finish our race still loving Jesus and still committed to following the call that He has for our lives.
Iya, kita mau mengakhiri hidup kita ketika kita sudah dipanggil Tuhan, kita mau mengakhiri pertandingan iman yang baik dan melakukan pekerjaan Tuhan.
So how can we stay committed like this?
Bagaimana kita bisa berkomitmen seperti ini?
Well, just as we've done throughout this series, we're going to look to Jesus as our example.
Kita hanya bisa melihat kepada contoh yang sempurna, yaitu Tuhan Yesus sendiri.
So this week is an important week, a significant week on the Christian calendar. Does anyone know what this week is?
Saudara tahu, minggu ini adalah minggu yang penting dalam kekristenan kita, ayo
Or
saudara.
something coming up next weekend that's very important.
Dan minggu depan juga, weekend minggu depan. Apa itu saudara?
Inda's got it, I can sense it.
Siapa yang bisa
It
jawab?
is Easter!
Iya, Paskah.
And so as we look at this, can you believe it's Easter already, Lena? I just
Yeah,
can't believe that.
it's
It's
quick.
April.
April.
That's
Quick.
amazing, amazing. So Easter next weekend. And as we have a look at the Easter story, we see that it represents the greatest act of love.
Iya, kalau kita datang ke hari Paskah, kita bukan hanya mengingat, oh hari Paskah nih cari telur, bukan, tapi ada satu pengorbanan yang besar.
That God so loved the world that he gave his only son for us.
Tuhan begitu mengasihi dunia ini, saudara dan saya dan semua orang, sehingga dia memberikan anak yang tunggal.
And Jesus laid down his life for us.
Dan Yesus menyerahkan hidupnya untuk saudara dan saya.
And so when we reflect on the Easter story and the events leading up to his crucifixion and resurrection,
Dimana kalau kita ingat perjalanan bagaimana Tuhan akan disalibkan,
we can see the extraordinary lengths that he went to just for you and I.
kita lihat bagaimana perjalanan yang dia lewati untuk saudara dan saya.
And so we're going to talk about a little bit of this journey today.
Kita mau bicarakan perjalanan ini hari ini.
And as we do so, I hope that you can see that actually Jesus experienced some of the deepest emotions that you can experience in your lifetime.
Di sini kalau saudara mengikuti perjalanan di Alkitab, Tuhan Yesus mengalami emosi yang sangat dalam, sama seperti yang saudara alami dalam hidup saudara.
And he endured some really significant trials.
Dan dia juga menghalangi tantangan yang sangat signifikan.
And for Jesus, when we look at this story, we can see that this final week leading up to his crucifixion was filled with hardships, pain, suffering.
Ketika minggu-minggu mendekati hari penyalipannya, ada begitu banyak hal-hal sulit dan juga sakit yang dalam.
And we too, in different moments in our life, we can get to a point where we feel like maybe giving up on our faith.
Mungkin juga saudara dan saya ada di masa-masa tertentu rasanya saya mau menyerah.
Because the trial, the season, the suffering is too much for us to handle.
Karena tantangan dalam hidup saya dan pencobaan itu sangat berat, saya nggak sanggup.
But what I love about the Christian faith and what I love about Jesus is he shows us how to navigate through these hard moments in life.
Tapi yang saya sukai ketika saya mengikut Yesus ada Tuhan memberikan contoh bagaimana saya harus melewati itu.
He doesn't just leave us on our own just to figure out how to get through those hard things. He actually gives us an example that we can follow.
Dia tidak meninggalkan saudara dan saya untuk melakukan semua sendiri, tapi dia memberikan contoh dan teladan kayak mana saya harus melewati itu.
And so as we look to Jesus' example today, that can be an inspiration to us that we would remain committed in our journey with Jesus.
Ketika kita melihat Tuhan Yesus, kita bisa mengikuti teladannya untuk kita tetap setia, berkomitmen apapun situasi hidupmu.
And so today we're going to talk about some situations that were heavy and hard for Jesus to experience.
Hari ini kita akan membicarakan situasi hidup yang susah yang dialami Tuhan Yesus.
And I don't want it to get you down, like to feel heavy and like burdened in the moment. I want you to feel a sense of, wow, God, wow, Jesus, this is what you did for me.
Ya, saya mau sharing ini bukan supaya saudara merasa jatuh, down, tapi ingat pengorbanannya apa yang sudah Tuhan lakukan buat saya.
And I want you to know that as Jesus has gone through these different things in his lifetime, that as we go through them, he can connect with us on a personal level because he's experienced it himself.
Iya, ketika saudara mengerti, saudara akan tahu apa yang kita bisa dengan mudah berkoneksi dengan Tuhan.
Alrighty, we've got the first trial that we see Jesus experience is that he was overwhelmed by the mission that God had given him to fulfill.
Yang pertama, dia merasa tertantang dengan misi yang Bapaknya beri buat dia.
All right, Matthew 26, verse 36 to 39. We're going to read together. Okay, then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, sit here while I go over there and pray. He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, so that'd be James and John, along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. Going a little further, he fell down on his face to the ground and prayed, my Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will.
Matius 26 ayat 36 sampai 39. Maka sampailah Yesus bersama-sama murid-muridnya ke suatu tempat yang bernama Getsemani. Lalu ia berkata kepada murid-muridnya, duduklah di sini sementara aku pergi ke sana untuk berdoa. Dan ia membawa Petrus dan kedua anak Zebedius sertanya. Maka mulailah ia merasa sedih dan gentar. Lalu katanya kepada mereka, hatiku sangat sedih, seperti mau mati rasanya. Tinggallah di sini dan berjaga-jagalah dengan aku. Maka ia maju sedikit, lalu sujud dan berdoa, katanya, ya Bapakku, jikalau sekiranya mungkin, biarlah cawan ini lalu daripadaku. Tetapi janganlah seperti yang ku kehendaki, melainkan seperti yang engkau kehendaki.
So we see here that Jesus was totally overwhelmed.
Di sini kita lihat Yesus sungguh overwhelmed, apa bahasanya ya? Tercengang,
He was
mengalami sesuatu yang
troubled,
melimpah
he was
gitu.
burdened, he
Iya.
was weighed down. He knew what was ahead.
Dia tahu apa yang akan terjadi di depan.
And he could already feel the weight of suffering that he was about to endure.
Karena dia tahu penderitaan yang sangat berat yang akan dia kelak hadapi dalam beberapa jam ke depan.
When you think about it, when we sin, the weight of that is quite heavy to carry, right? We feel shame, we feel guilt in that moment.
Kalau saudara ingat ketika misalnya saya jatuh dalam dosa, saya akan merasa rasa malu, rasa tertuduh yang saya bawa terus-menerus.
And when we think about Jesus, he actually carried the weight of our sin as he hung on that cross. So combine all of the sins, the different things we've done. Imagine the heaviness of what that would have felt like as he hung on that cross. So he was beginning to feel the weight of that suffering coming upon him.
Kita sendiri aja merasakan dosa kita sangat berat. Bayangkan Tuhan menanggung dosa berapa ratus juta ataupun miliaran orang. Itu berat untuk dia sendiri.
And it feels so heavy that he's asking the Father, if it's possible, can you take this cup of suffering off of me? Can I get out of this mission?
Sampai dia berdoa kepada Bapa, jikalau mungkin Tuhan biarlah cawan ini lalu. Maksudnya biarlah, nggak usah aku melewatinya. Tapi dia bilang,
And so the depth of what Jesus would have been feeling in that moment would have been just so, we couldn't comprehend it, I'm sure. We can try and picture it in our mind, but really only Jesus knows what that felt like.
iya mungkin kita nggak bisa merasakan seperti yang Tuhan rasakan karena sangat berat waktu itu. Beban yang dia bawa, yaitu dosa kita.
So Jesus in his humanity, he wanted to run. His flesh was saying, no, I don't want to endure this. I want to get out of here. Please, Father, can I not do this mission anymore?
Dia waktu itu adalah Tuhan dan manusia. Jadi waktu itu dalam bentuk manusia dan dia bilang Tuhan secara kemanusiaannya, jika bisa Tuhan biarlah ini berlalu.
Have you ever felt like that when it comes to the mission that God's given you?
Pernahkah saudara merasa misalnya di satu sisi ketika Tuhan memberikan komisi, bilang aduh Tuhan aku nggak mau deh melakukan ini lagi.
Have you ever felt like you just want to run away from the call that God has for you?
Apakah saudara pernah merasa aku sebaiknya lari dari panggilan ini? Aku nggak bisa lagi.
And escaping the pressure. Sometimes life is difficult and being a Christian is not that easy. And so sometimes our flesh, our human nature, like Jesus was in that moment, just wants to run away from that, escape that pressure.
Iya, kadang sebagai manusia, saya sendiri pun merasa, aduh saya pengen lari dari kenyataan ini, saya nggak sanggup, udah berat banget.
And we have a decision to make when we face a moment like this in our life.
Kita pasti punya momen seperti ini dalam hidup kita.
Will we run
Apakah saya mau lari?
away from the call?
Nah, lari dari panggilan?
Or will we run to the call and continue running
Atau
after that
kita
call?
mau berlari kepada panggilan itu?
And Jesus gives us a key here on how we can do this, to stay committed and faithful to God's call and mission.
Tuhan Yesus memberikan kunci ke bagaimana kita melakukan panggilan yang Tuhan mau atas hidup saudara dan saya.
And we see it written in this passage of Scripture.
Kita lihat dalam ayat ini.
And so when we get to a point where it feels like it's too much, this is what we can do. Jesus gives us this example.
Ketika engkau mau menyerah, ingatlah ini saudara.
He prays this simple prayer twice during his time in the garden.
2 kali dia berdoa, doa yang sangat simpel ini.
He prays, he says, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, not as I will, but as you will."
Ya Bapakku, jikalau sekiranya mungkin, biarlah cawan ini lalu daripadaku. Tetapi janganlah seperti yang kukehendaki, melainkan seperti yang engkau kehendaki.
And verse 42, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done."
Lagi dia bilang yang kedua kali di ayat 42, ya Bapakku, jikalau cawan ini tidak mungkin lalu, kecuali apabila aku meminumnya, jadilah kehendakmu.
When we feel overwhelmed by the burdens that we might be facing in our life,
Ketika kita merasa terlalu berat dengan apa yang kita alami,
when it feels like it's too much for us to handle,
terlalu banyak untuk engkau hadapi,
remember this simple prayer of surrender.
ingatlah doa penyerahan diri ini.
Now, this prayer may seem basic.
Mungkin kelihatannya sangat biasa aja.
Not my will, but yours be done.
Bukan kehendakku Tuhan, tapi kehendak-Mu lah yang jadi.
But this prayer holds great power.
Tapi doa ini mengandung kuasa.
As we invite God to have his way, for his will to be done in our lives,
Saat kita mau kehendak Tuhan jadi atas hidup saya,
we are welcoming the almighty, powerful, merciful King into the situation that we are facing.
Sebenarnya saya sedang mengundang kuasa Tuhan yang besar untuk memenuhi hidup saya.
We are welcoming His presence, His light, His kingdom.
Kita mengundang hadiratnya, kerajaannya atas hidup saudara dan saya.
We are welcoming His help and comfort and support.
Kita mau menerima pertolongannya dan dukungannya.
We are inviting His will, His good and perfect and pleasing will to be done in our lives.
Kita mengundang kehendaknya yang baik atas hidup kita.
And so when you feel like the mission that God's given you is too hard, it's too difficult,
Ketika engkau merasa misi yang Tuhan berikan buat engkau terlalu susah,
or when you feel weary from fighting the battle or running the race,
atau terlalu berat untuk berperang atas persoalan hidupmu,
do as Jesus did
lakukan seperti yang Tuhan Yesus lakukan.
and go to that place of surrender and pray that prayer, not my will, but yours be done.
Berdoalah, bukan kehendakku Tuhan, tapi biarlah kehendakmu yang jadi.
As you do, you're going to access supernatural power from God to be able to keep enduring and running this race for Him.
Percayalah engkau akan mengalami kuasa Tuhan yang besar.
All right, the second thing that Jesus experienced was the betrayal of a friend.
Yang kedua yang Tuhan Yesus alami, tadi yang pertama, yang kedua adalah pengkhianatan dari teman baik.
And so Judas Iscariot, he was chosen as one of the 12 disciples.
Ya, jadi Yudas Iskariot itu adalah satu dari 12 murid.
He was part of Jesus's crew, his inner circle.
Ya, jadi dia adalah satu lingkaran dekat dengan Tuhan Yesus.
And he had spent the last 3 years following Jesus. Wherever Jesus went, that's where Judas was.
Kemanapun Yesus pergi selama 3 tahun, di situ juga Yudas Iskariot berada.
Yet Judas hadn't surrendered everything to Jesus.
Yudas bahkan sudah menyerahkan semuanya buat Yesus.
Even though he was in close proximity to Jesus, being there all day, every day with him,
Bahkan walaupun dia sudah dekat dengan Tuhan Yesus secara fisik maupun secara hati,
Judas was holding back from giving his whole life and surrendering to obey Jesus' teaching.
tapi dia tidak mau menyerahkan hidupnya atas pengajaran yang Tuhan berikan.
Judas was serving another master.
Karena dia melayani Tuhan yang lain.
And we can see in the scriptures that he loved money more than he loved Jesus.
Kita lihat di sini di firman Tuhan mengatakan kalau Yudas Iskariot lebih mencintai uang daripada Tuhan.
And we see that as Jesus teaches us in Matthew 6, it's true, you can't serve two masters. You can't serve both money and Jesus.
Di Matius 6 dikatakan engkau tidak bisa melayani dua tuan, tidak bisa mengasihi Tuhan ataupun uang.
So the religious leaders of the day, they were looking for a way to be able to trap Jesus.
Pemimpin agama pada zaman dulu berusaha mencari cara untuk menjebak Yesus.
They were jealous of Jesus and his ministry and the influence that he was having over so many people.
Mereka iri kepada apa yang sudah Tuhan lakukan dan pelayanannya.
They were threatened by him.
Mereka merasa terancam.
And so they needed an insider, somebody who knew him personally.
Jadi mereka mencari orang dalam, siapa yang kira-kira tahu dia.
And so they enlisted the help of Judas.
Dan akhirnya mereka menemukanlah Yudas Iskariot ini.
Now Judas was willing to offer his services in exchange for money.
Iya, Yudas bersedia melakukan tugasnya itu kepada pemimpin agama yang iri hati demi uang.
Because Judas desired money more than he desired wanting to obey and
Karena
follow
Tuhannya
Jesus.
si Judas adalah uang.
So John 12 verse 6 says that that's Judas, did not say this because he cared about the poor. So he'd made a comment about a gift that someone had given, but because he was a thief. As keeper of the money bag, he used to help himself to whatever was put into it.
Di Yohanes 12 ayat 6 berkata tentang Judas, hal itu dikatakannya bukan karena ia memperhatikan nasib orang-orang miskin, melainkan karena ia adalah seorang pencuri. Ia sering mengambil uang yang disimpan dalam kas yang dipegangnya.
So we can see here a little bit about Judas' personality and character, that he had this love for money, and that meant he stole things and took money that didn't belong to him.
Iya, dengan kepribadian seperti ini, ada kemungkinan dia sudah banyak melakukan pencurian uang dalam apa yang dia lakukan selama 3 tahun terakhir.
And so we see here that being around Jesus is not enough.
Bagi dia hanya berada di sekitar Yesus itu mungkin nggak mencukupkan perasaan dia, hidup dia.
We need to submit and commit our lives to His authority and His teachings.
Tapi yang kita pelajari adalah saudara dan saya harus submit, tunduk kepada otoritasnya Tuhan.
And so Judas makes the decision to betray Jesus for 30 pieces of silver.
Yudas memutuskan untuk mengkhianati Yesus hanya untuk 30 keping silver, perak.
So it's not really clear how much 30 pieces of silver is worth today. The range is quite big, from $90 to $2,000. It's not clear, but we know it's enough money to be able to purchase a vacant block of land outside the city.
Iya, waktu itu tidak disebutkan sebenarnya seberapa detailnya 30 keping emas itu berharga seperti apa, tapi di sana dibilang untuk membeli tanah.
Now, I want you to put yourself into Jesus's situation right now, his position.
Saya mau saudara menjadi posisinya Tuhan Yesus saat ini.
Can you imagine what it would have felt like for him to have one of your closest friends betray you?
Coba bayangkan, sahabat yang paling dekat mengkhianati saudara.
Maybe you can.
Mungkin saudara bisa membayangkannya.
Maybe you too have faced the betrayal of a loved one.
Mungkin saudara pernah mengalami atau sering mengalami.
Maybe you've been betrayed by your parents or a significant person in your life.
Mungkin saudara dikhianati oleh sahabat, orang tua maupun orang-orang yang penting dalam hidup saudara.
Someone that you thought you could trust, that you could depend upon.
Saudara pikir seseorang yang bisa saudara percaya, ternyata enggak.
Someone that you thought loved you and cared for you, but they turned around and betrayed you.
Orang yang saudara kira bisa peduli dengan saudara, tapi ternyata dia mengkhianati saudara.
Betrayal is a difficult thing for us to experience.
Pengkhianatan itu adalah hal yang sangat susah untuk kita hadapi.
Like when someone betrays our trust by sharing a secret, gossiping about us, something that was personal that we wanted to keep personal for ourselves.
Misalnya dia membocorkan rahasia yang sangat rahasia, paling dalam. Padahal kita bilang jangan bilang ke orang, tapi dia bilang.
Or maybe when someone makes a promise and then they let you down, they don't keep that promise.
Atau seseorang itu berjanji tapi ternyata tidak menepatinya.
Betrayal can leave us feeling a different range of emotions: anger, frustration, sadness, hurt, pain.
Pengkhianatan itu membuat emosi yang besar, rasa kemarahan, sakit hati, dan juga pengen dibalas rasanya.
And so how do we deal with a situation like this?
Kalau saudara dikhianati, gimana respon saudara?
We don't want this to lead us to walking away from our faith in God. How do we stay connected and committed to relationship with Jesus even when we have to face something like this situation?
Yang harus kita lakukan adalah jangan biarkan kita lari atau jauh dari Tuhan karena kita dikhianati dan rasa sakit itu, tapi mari kita datang kepada Tuhan.
Well, let's look to Jesus' example.
Kita melihat Yesus sebagai contoh.
And I love this. Jesus can empathize with us and our experience because he himself has experienced it personally.
Tuhan Yesus itu merasa empati kepada saudara dan saya karena dia sendiri sudah pernah mengalami.
So Matthew 26 verse 46 to 50. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. This is Jesus speaking. While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him. Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus replied, "Do what you came for, friend."
Matius 26 ayat 46 sampai 50. Bangunlah, marilah kita pergi. Dia yang menyerahkan aku sudah dekat. Waktu Yesus masih berbicara, datanglah Yudas, salah satu seorang dari ke-12 murid itu, dan bersama-sama dia serombongan besar orang yang membawa pedang dan pentung. Disuruh oleh imam-imam kepala dan tua-tua bangsa Yahudi. Orang yang menyerahkan dia telah memberitahukan tanda ini kepada mereka. Orang yang akan kucium itulah dia, tangkaplah dia. Dan segera ia maju mendapatkan Yesus dan berkata, "Salam Rabi," lalu mencium dia. Tetapi Yesus berkata kepadanya, "Hai teman, untuk itukah engkau datang?" Maka majulah mereka memegang Yesus dan menangkapnya.
So what a response from Jesus, right?
Iya, kita lihat bagaimana respon Yesus.
So he lets Judas kiss him,
Dia membiarkan Yudas mencium pipinya,
even though Jesus is fully aware that he's going to betray him. He already calls him a betrayer before as he's walking towards him.
Iya, di translasinya Inggris dikatakan Yesus sudah bilang, "Hai engkau pengkhianat," tapi dia membiarkan Yudas melakukan apa yang harus dia lakukan.
And then he also calls him friend.
Tapi di ayat terakhir di terjemahan lain dikatakan Yesus kalau Lakukan apa yang kau mau lakukan, teman.
Now, I don't know about you. If someone that I knew was going to hurt me and betray me was coming up to kiss me, I would not be responding with much gentleness.
Ya, saudara bayangkan, kalau saudara tahu ini teman saya, dia mengkhianati saya. Kalau dia mau datang memeluk saya, otomatis saya tidak mau terima.
Can you practice? Can you be Judas right now? Gonna come up. So to be like,
Contoh,
Judas,
kayak gini.
hello,
Pengkhianat.
hey, get away from me.
Ya. Mungkin respon saya seperti itu secara kemanusiaan
Don't
saya.
even think about that.
Yeah.
It's like if you have an argument with those that are married in the room, and then like you're still just like dealing with it, and then they want to have a kiss, and you're like, oh, not yet. It's like anyway, not like that.
Ya, itu contohnya kalau kita secara manusia kita pasti akan menolak.
You're not going to respond with, do what you came to do, friend.
Kita nggak mungkin bilang silakan lakukan yang kau mau.
And so even though Jesus knew exactly what Judas was about to do,
Tapi Yesus membiarkan Yudas melakukan apa yang harus dia lakukan.
he responds in a really powerful way and is a great example for us to follow.
Tapi Yesus mau kita mengikuti teladannya, yaitu kita harus mengampuni orang yang mengkhianati kita.
To treat our betrayers as friends.
Untuk menganggap pengkhianat itu sebagai teman kita.
And this is connected to Jesus' command where he says, love your enemies.
Ini juga sama dengan perintah Tuhan, kasihilah musuhmu.
Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven.
Kasihilah musuhmu dan berdoalah bagi mereka yang menganiaya kamu, karena demikianlah kamu jadi anak-anak Bapamu yang di surga.
And so here Jesus is showing us how to navigate if we find ourselves facing betrayal from the people that we love, is that we need to choose and make the decision that we're not going to respond in hate or revenge or I want to get that person back.
Iya, Yesus memberi teladan yang harus saya lakukan ketika orang mengkhianati saya adalah tapi saya mengampuni dia dan dia adalah teman saya.
And we make the decision where we're not going to hold on to bitterness or have the burden of that weight carrying any longer. We're just going to let it go and say, okay, you've wronged me, but I'm going to make the decision to respond in love.
Iya, jangan simpan itu menjadi kepahitan. Iya, pasti kita merasa sakit, tapi saya mau mengampuni dan saya mau meriliskan kasih karunia buat dia. Karena apa? Tuhan juga melakukan hal yang sama buat saya.
Now, I know this sounds like a simple solution to a very complicated situation that you may face.
Mungkin saudara bilang, itu kan gak mudah.
But if you think about it, it's actually really deep that we would respond to those that hurt us with love.
Tapi respon kita adalah mengasihi musuh kita.
Because what it does is it helps us to remain in the freedom that Jesus has won for us.
Ketika engkau mengasihi musuhmu, engkau hidup dalam kebebasan. Engkau tidak terikat akan rasa pahit itu.
As soon as we want to engage in vengeance and retaliation and taking the matter into our own hands, actually we become tied up by those feelings and those emotions. We become imprisoned into those things.
Iya, ketika engkau memutuskan untuk membalas orang yang berbuat jahat pada engkau, sebenarnya engkau keterikatan dengan namanya membuat engkau semakin bersalah dan melakukan hal-hal yang tidak benar.
As we trust that God, you can bring the truth into this situation. You can turn this hard situation around, and we choose to love them even if they've treated us badly. We actually continue to walk in the freedom that God has for us.
Ketika engkau mengasihi musuhmu, engkau berjalan dalam kebebasan secara emosional.
And so it's important if we're feeling and are experiencing that betrayal of someone that we love, not to let that be something that pulls us away from God, but we make the decision, no, I'm going to stay committed no matter what.
Iya, buatlah komitmen engkau mengasihi musuhmu apapun yang terjadi, karena itu yang membuat engkau dekat sama Tuhan. Ketika engkau ada rasa dendam, masih mau melakukan hal yang lain, itu membuat engkau jauh dari Tuhan.
Alrighty, the next trial that Jesus experienced is rejection.
Yang ketiga yang dialami Tuhan Yesus adalah penolakan.
So in order to build a relationship with someone, it requires us to be vulnerable with one another.
Iya, supaya saya dekat dengan seseorang, saya harus terbuka satu dengan yang lain.
And it also requires deep trust,
Dan juga rasa percaya yang dalam.
that you can trust each other no matter what happens.
Kau harus percaya satu sama lain apapun yang terjadi.
When someone rejects you, that trust gets broken.
Ketika, excuse me?
When someone rejects you, that trust that you have for one another, it gets broken.
Iya, ketika seseorang mempercayai engkau, itu tidak akan mudah goyah.
And so Peter was one of Jesus' closest disciples.
Petrus adalah salah satu murid Tuhan yang paling dekat.
He was part of the favored three.
Iya, dia adalah salah satu dari 3 murid Yesus yang paling dikasihi.
Peter, James, and John.
Ya, Petrus, Yakobus, dan Yohanes.
And yet, in Jesus' greatest hour of need,
Pada saat Yesus butuh orang untuk didekat dia di masa-masa terakhir dia,
as he's arrested
saat dia ditangkap
and taken before the chief and the different ministers to be put on trial,
dan saat dia mau dibawa kepada pengadilan,
at this point of greatest need, Peter rejects Jesus, abandons him, and denies even knowing him.
Petrus menolak Yesus, bahkan menyangkal dia.
So we see in Matthew 26, verse 34 to 35, "Truly I tell you, Jesus answered, this very night before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. But Peter declared, even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And all the other disciples said the same."
Matius 26 ayat 34 sampai 35. Yesus berkata kepadanya, "Aku berkata kepadamu, sesungguhnya malam ini sebelum ayam berkokok engkau telah menyangkal aku 3 kali." Kata Petrus kepadanya, "Sekalipun aku harus mati bersama-sama engkau, aku takkan menyangkal engkau." Semua murid yang lain pun berkata demikian juga.
Peter makes this promise to Jesus,
Petrus membuat janji ini kepada Yesus,
but he doesn't follow through with that commitment.
tapi dia tidak menepatinya.
And in doing so, he rejects Jesus. He disowns him and says, I don't, denies even knowing him.
Tapi di akhirnya ternyata dia berkata, "Aku nggak kenal dia."
And so Luke 22, verse 59 to 62 describes what unfolds next.
Kita lihat apa yang terjadi di Lukas 22 ayat 59 sampai 62.
And I want you just to picture this, visualize as we read the scriptures today, visualize what this is real stories, real life happening. What would it have felt like to be in Peter's situation, in Jesus' situation?
Ketika ayat kita bacakan, saudara bayangkan ini situasi yang terjadi nyata di masa lalu.
Verse 59, "And after an interval of about an hour, still another insisted, saying, 'Certainly this man also was with him, for he too is a Galilean.' But Peter said, 'Man, I do not know what you are talking about.' And immediately while he was still speaking, the rooster crowed. And the Lord turned and looked at Peter. And Peter remembered the saying of the Lord, how he had said to him, 'Before the rooster crows today, you will deny me 3 times.' And he went out and wept bitterly."
Lukas 22 59 sampai 62. Dan kira-kira sejam kemudian seorang lain berkata dengan tegas, "Sungguh orang ini juga bersama-sama dengan dia, sebab ia juga orang Galilea." Tetapi Petrus berkata, "Bukan, aku tidak tahu apa yang kau katakan." Seketika itu juga sementara ia berkata, berkokoklah ayam. Lalu berpalinglah Tuhan memandang Petrus, maka teringatlah Petrus bahwa Tuhan telah berkata kepadanya, "Sebelum ayam berkokok pada hari ini, engkau telah 3 kali menyangkal aku." Lalu ia pergi keluar dan menangis dengan sedihnya.
So Jesus would have been close enough to Peter to hear Peter say those words.
Iya, jadi Tuhan Yesus dengan Petrus sangat dekat sehingga dia tahu kalau Petrus akan mengatakan hal tersebut.
And can you picture the look that Jesus would have had in his eyes as he turned to Peter? It would have been so much pain and hurt, right? Those words would have cut deep to Jesus.
Jadi ketika hal terjadi, mereka pada situasi mereka bisa saling melihat. Bayangkan muka Tuhan itu seperti apa ketika dilihatnya Petrus menyangkal dia di hadapannya.
And maybe you too have experienced rejection in your own life.
Mungkin saudara mengalami juga penolakan di hidupmu.
Maybe even by those closest to you.
Mungkin orang-orang yang terdekat dengan engkau.
And rejection hurts.
Penolakan itu sakit.
It can lead us to forming like a barrier, a hardness in our heart. When we get rejected, it makes us want to defend our hearts even more.
Ketika kita merasa tertolak, kita akan membuat batasan supaya aku tidak mengalami lagi.
So that we can't get hurt again.
Supaya aku tidak mengalami penolakan lagi yang sama.
But Jesus shows us the way to move forward when we experience rejection.
Tapi Tuhan Yesus memberi teladan apa yang harus saya lakukan ketika saya ditolak oleh orang yang dekat dan saya kasihi.
So that we wouldn't allow rejection to be something that then just pulls us away from our relationship with Jesus.
Supaya hidup saya tidak jauh dari Tuhan.
But that we would stay committed to God no matter how anyone else treats us.
Saya mau tetap berkomitmen dengan Tuhan bagaimanapun orang lain memperlakukan saya.
And so we see that Jesus actually, after he's resurrected, he forgives Peter and restores Peter to his calling.
Di akhir kisah itu, setelah Yesus bangkit dari kematiannya, bagaimana dia mengampuni Petrus dan bagaimana dia mengubahkan kehidupan Petrus yang luar biasa, kita bisa baca di kitab selanjutnya.
And you can read about this in the book of John 21.
Di Yohanes 21.
And so Jesus again calls Peter his friend.
Dan tetap Yesus bilang, Petrus itu adalah sahabatnya.
and gives him a new mission to feed his sheep, to care for his lambs.
Dan memberikan dia misi untuk menginjil dan untuk juga mengembalakan domba-domba.
So if you too have experienced rejection in your life,
Jika saudara juga mengalami penolakan di hidup saudara,
don't let your heart grow hard.
jangan hatimu jadi keras.
And don't be afraid to trust others again.
Jangan takut untuk mempercaya orang lain lagi.
Follow Jesus' example to respond with forgiveness and love.
Ikuti teladan Tuhan untuk mengasihi musuhmu, bahkan orang-orang yang menolakmu.
And our God is a restorer, and He can bring healing to your hurt heart.
Tuhan itu penyembuh dan dia bisa menyembuhkan hatimu yang terluka.
And so He knows the pain of being rejected,
Dia tahu rasanya ditolak.
but He offers us the way to move forward through that pain.
Tapi dia mau saudara juga jangan tinggal di penolakan itu, tapi bagaimana mengampuni dan berjalan kembali bersamanya.
And to stay connected to the mission God has for us.
Tetap melakukan misinya Tuhan.
Now, there are many other trials that Jesus experiences leading up to His crucifixion.
Ada banyak tantangan yang Tuhan hadapi ketika menuju hari penyalipannya.
Jesus was wrongfully accused,
Dia juga dituduh hal yang tidak dilakukan
and so He was unfairly put on trial and sentenced to death,
dan bahkan diberikan hukuman mati.
even though He'd done nothing to deserve such a punishment.
Bahkan ketika dia sebenarnya tidak layak menerima hukuman itu.
And a man named Barabbas, he was actually released, even though he was a known murderer and had led an insurrection towards the Roman government.
Sedangkan orang yang pada saat yang bersamaan waktu namanya Barabas, dia yang melakukan kejahatan, tapi dia dibebaskan.
Talk about injustice, right?
Di sini kita lihat adanya ketidakadilan.
The way that Jesus was treated all the way through this was so unjust, so unfair.
Apa yang dialami Tuhan Yesus sendiri itu tidak adil sebenarnya.
But instead of Jesus responding in rage and anger and trying to plead his case, no, you've got the wrong person, this is not who I am.
Di Alkitab dikatakan dia tidak merespon dengan marah ataupun berkata-kata yang tidak layak.
He just remained calm and silent through the whole process.
Selama proses dari dia ditangkap dan mau diadili dan bahkan dihukum mati, dia tetap tenang dan diam.
And this is a great example again for us to follow.
Ini adalah contoh yang baik yang harus kita ikuti.
That we would not try and take justice into our own hands,
Jangan berusaha untuk mencari keadilan.
but trust that vengeance belongs to the Lord.
Percayalah, penghakiman itu adalah haknya Tuhan.
And that
Tuhan
the-
yang akan lakukan.
That the truth will be revealed.
Tuhan akan menyatakan kebenaran.
And so we see also that Jesus was ridiculed and mocked,
Kita di sini kok Tuhan dicambuk
and he was physically tortured, he was whipped, and he was beaten.
dan dia dipukul, disiksa dan sangat sakit secara fisik.
Even to a point where his face was unrecognizable.
Bahkan ketika dia disiksa mukanya sudah sampai tidak dikenali, berarti itu sangat terlalu brutal.
Let me just read quickly what happened in this time. In Matthew 27, verse 27 to 31, then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium, that word, a very big word, official place. I'm sure sounds very official. And gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him. They twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand and they knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they said. They spit on him and took the staff and struck him on their head again and again. After they had mocked him, they took off his robe and put his own clothes on him. And then they led him away to crucify him.
Matius 27:31. Kemudian serdadu-serdadu wali negeri membawa Yesus ke gedung pengadilan. Lalu memanggil seluruh pasukan berkumpul sekeliling Yesus. Mereka menanggalkan pakaiannya dan mengenakan jubah ungu kepadanya. Mereka menganyam sebuah mahkota duri dan menaruhnya di atas kepalanya. Lalu memberikan dia sebatang buluh di tangan kanannya. Kemudian mereka berlutut di hadapannya dan mengolok-ngolokkan dia, katanya, "Salam, hai Raja orang Yahudi." Mereka yang meludahinya dan mengambil buluh itu dan memukulkannya ke kepalanya. Sesudah mengolok-ngolokkan dia, mereka menanggalkan jubah itu daripadanya dan mengenakan pula pakaiannya kepadanya. Kemudian mereka membawa dia keluar untuk disalibkan.
So the depth of suffering that Jesus experienced was immense, far greater we could ever comprehend.
Iya, penderitaan dia secara fisik itu sangat besar dan sangat dalam. Mungkin kalau kita alami, kita nggak sanggup.
And it's heartbreaking to think that Jesus had to go through these things for us. It's because of our sin that he had to endure these things.
Iya, sebenarnya Kita lah yang layak dicambuk, diolok-olok, tapi dia ambil posisi kita untuk dia yang mengalami.
And Jesus could have, in a second, called on a multitude of angels to come and save him and rescue him out of this situation. But he persevered and he remained faithful to the mission that God had for him.
Sebenarnya dengan kuasanya dia bisa gampang manggil malaikat-malaikat untuk menolong dia, tapi dia tidak mau, dia mau setia dengan apa yang harus dilakukan.
In our life, we too can face difficulties and hardships. But as we look to Jesus, we can see, actually it's nothing in comparison to what you endured for me.
Iya. Kalau kita mengalami masa-masa sulit, saudara, itu nggak sebanding apa yang Tuhan rasakan ketika dia menuju kayu salib.
We can face persecution.
Kita mungkin bisa menghadapi namanya persecution, disiksa.
Yep. We can be
Penganiayaan.
ridiculed for our faith.
Tapi
We
kita
can be ridiculed for our faith.
kita mungkin disuruh menyangkal imanmu.
We can endure pain and suffering.
Engkau mengalami sakit dan penderitaan.
But as we do that, we can identify just a little bit about what Jesus experienced on that cross.
Kalau engkau mengalami sedikit dari itu, ketahuilah Tuhan mengalami itu terlebih dahulu.
And so Jesus shows us the way through how to navigate these hard moments in our life.
Dia menunjukkan beginilah nak caranya untuk kau menghadapi ini.
We can see it through Jesus' example. He doesn't retaliate when people are mocking him and putting the crown of thorns and the cloak upon him. He doesn't retaliate in any way.
Dia tidak membalas hal yang sama ketika orang mengolok dia, mencambuk dia, meludahi dia. Dia tidak membalasnya.
He doesn't fight back when he's being beaten.
Waktu dia dipukul, dia tidak membalas.
And he doesn't try and speak up for himself when people are ridiculing him.
Atau dia membela diri ketika orang memfitnah dia.
Jesus remained faithful and committed to the mission that God had for him.
Dia tetap setia dengan misi yang Bapa berikan untuk dia selesaikan.
So when we face trials in life,
Ketika engkau menghadapi tantangan dalam hidupmu,
when our commitment to God is being tested and challenged,
ketika komitmenmu kepada Tuhan itu ditantang,
we can often find ourselves asking the question, where are you, God?
kau mungkin bertanya, di mana kau Tuhan?
Do you even care?
Apakah engkau peduli?
Jesus is saying to each one of us today,
Tuhan Yesus berkata pada saudara saat ini dan pada kami, saya
I have been where you have been.
sudah di tempat di mana engkau berada.
I have felt the way that you have felt.
Saya sudah merasakan apa yang kau rasakan, anakku.
I have wept as you have wept.
Saya juga menangis ketika engkau menangis.
I feel your pain and I see the injustice.
Saya merasakan sakitmu dan saya sudah merasakan ketidakadilan itu.
And I am standing with you.
Dan ketahuilah aku selalu bersama dengan engkau.
I will not abandon you.
Tidak akan aku tinggalkan engkau.
I will not reject you.
Aku tidak akan menolak engkau.
I know what you need right now.
Aku tahu apa yang kau butuhkan sekarang.
And I will give you the way through this trial.
Ketahuilah aku akan memberikan engkau jalan keluar.
Just hold on to me.
Bertahanlah.
Don't let go of your faith.
Jangan biarkan imanmu goyah.
I promise you, you will make it through.
Engkau akan melewatinya.
It's all going to be okay.
Semuanya akan baik-baik saja.
Jesus stayed committed to God to the
Yesus
very end.
tetap setia sampai akhir hidupnya.
In spite of many hardships and trials.
Terlepas dari tantangan dan hal sulit.
And we see as he hung on the cross, he says those famous words,
Bahkan ketika dia sudah disalibkan, ada yang masih dia ucapkan.
it is finished.
Sudah selesai.
It is finished. Mission complete.
Sudah selesai.
No matter all those things that he had to face and endure that week,
Apapun yang dihadapi selama minggu-minggu terakhir itu,
he finished the mission that God had for him. He finished the race.
dia sudah menyelesaikan pertandingan hidupnya.
And he provides us the ultimate example of how we can navigate those hard moments in life.
Tuhan Yesus sudah memberikan teladan bagaimana kita harus melakukan pertandingan hidup ini.
That we would stay committed to God no matter what.
Komitmenlah pada Tuhan apapun yang terjadi.
And so, church, let's hold on to God's word and promises today and learn from Jesus' example.
Mari saudara, kita melihat teladannya Tuhan.
Whether you're feeling overwhelmed
Apapun yang kau hadapi saat ini,
or you're facing betrayal or rejection,
atau saudara mengalami tantangan, pengkhianatan,
where you may be going through persecution or pain,
ketika engkau mengalami penganiayaan atau rasa sakit,
let's be a people that stay committed to God no matter
jadilah
what.
orang yang tetap berkomitmen kepada Tuhan,
That we would learn from Jesus' example
belajar dari Tuhan.
and that we would finish this race strong.
Mari mengakhiri pertandingan dengan baik.
Still loving Jesus
Tetap mengasihi Yesus,
and following the call that He has for our lives.
mengikuti panggilannya atas
All right,
hidupmu.
let's close our eyes across this room
Mari kita menutup mata kita, saudara.
and just take a moment to reflect as we do each week.
Mari kita refleksikan, ingat kembali apa yang sudah kita lakukan sepanjang minggu ini.
What is God encouraging you in today?
Apa yang Tuhan ingatkan engkau dari pesan hari ini?
Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed.
Mungkin kau merasa kewalahan.
You're feeling weary in running this race.
Engkau letih lesu dan berbeban berat.
Maybe you feel like giving up.
Mungkin kau akan merasa menyerah.
Just look to Jesus.
Tapi mari pandang Yesus.
Look to His example.
Ikuti teladannya.
Use that as an inspiration for you to just keep coming to that prayer of surrender. Not my will, Lord, but yours be done.
Tapi biarlah mari kita berdoa, Tuhan, bukan kehendakku, tapi kehendak-Mu lah yang jadi.
Maybe the people closest to you have treated you in a way that has been painful and hurtful.
Mungkin kau disakiti orang yang terdekat denganmu.
You might be carrying shame.
Kau merasa malu.
You might be looking at yourself in a low perspective.
Engkau memandang rendah dirimu.
Just want you to know that Jesus has felt what you're feeling right now.
Ketahuilah Yesus sudah merasakan apa yang kau rasakan juga.
And He gives us a way forward, and that is to respond in love.
Tapi mari kita mengasihi mereka.
And there is freedom for you today to be able to let go of the offense and to let go of the disappointment.
Mari letakkan, taruh di hadapan Tuhan segala kekecewaanmu, rasa sakitmu.
There's freedom for you to continue running the race for Him.
Ketahuilah, ketika engkau melakukannya, engkau dibebaskan dari semua rasa itu.
Whatever it is that you're facing,
Apapun itu,
let's make the decision today, church,
hari ini buat keputusan yang benar.
to stay committed and faithful to our God.
Aku mau berkomitmen tetap setia kepada Tuhan.
Lord, we thank you for the example of Jesus.
Bersyukur Yesus adalah teladan kami.
And Lord, as we step into Easter this week, God, I pray that the stories of Easter will just move our hearts again.
Aku berdoa Tuhan saat hari Easter sudah dekat, biar kami terus diingatkan betapa besarnya kasih-Mu atas hidup kami.
That we would take time to read those stories,
Untuk kami bisa mengambil cerita itu kembali.
to study the scriptures.
Mempelajari firman-Mu.
And that as we do that, we continue to be strengthened in our commitment to you.
Biar kami semakin dikuatkan atas komitmen kami kepada Engkau.
That, Lord, even as we leave this place today, that we will do so with a fresh faith and a fresh strength.
Biar kami keluar dari ruangan ini menjadi orang yang berbeda.
And that, Lord, that we would continue to run this race, that we will not give up,
Kami akan mengakhiri pertandingan dengan baik dan tidak menyerah.
but that we will continue in the call that you have for our lives.
Tapi tetap melakukan panggilan-Mu.
And help us to live every day for you, Jesus.
Biarkan kami hidup untuk Engkau, Tuhan Yesus.
And we pray all these things in your mighty name,
Dalam
Lord.
nama Yesus kami berdoa.
Amen, amen.
Terima kasih Pastor Rachel untuk khotbah yang sangat luar biasa. Saya yakin kita dikuatkan kembali sehingga kita bisa yakin dan kita bisa mengerti lebih lagi bagaimana kita bisa menjalani kehidupan bersama dengan Yesus ke depannya.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. Oh, you have been so, so kind to me. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. The goodness of your love. No shadow you won't light up, a mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, no mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No shadow you won't light up, no mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, no mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. Oh, I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Coming after me. Yes, you have been so, so kind to me. So, so kind to me.
Minggu depan, gereja kita akan mengadakan ibadah Jumat Agung dan juga ibadah Paskah. Ibadah Jumat Agung akan dilakukan pada tanggal 15 April jam 10 pagi di gereja kita, yaitu di Bali Life Training Center. Saya mengundang setiap saudara bisa bergabung di ibadah Jumat Agung ini. Dan juga di tanggal 17 April jam 10 pagi kita akan memiliki ibadah Paskah, dan ini akan dilakukan di gereja kita juga di Bali Life Training Center. Saya mengundang saudara untuk bisa bergabung di kedua ibadah ini. Sebagai gereja, kami sangat senang bisa berkoneksi dengan saudara. Jika saudara baru pertama kali beribadah hari ini atau ingin berkoneksi dengan kami menyediakan opsi yang dinamakan Want to Connect with Our Church yang tersedia di kolom deskripsi di bawah ini. Dan jika saudara ingin mengetahui lebih lagi tentang kekristenan atau mengikuti Yesus, kami menyediakan juga opsi yang dinamakan Next Step yang bisa saudara akses di kolom deskripsi di bawah ini. Jika saudara ingin memberikan persembahan dan perpuluhan saudara dapat akses secara online yang nanti detailnya akan ditampilkan sesaat lagi. Terima kasih telah bergabung di ibadah hari ini. Saya sangat senang karena saudara bisa meluangkan waktu saudara hari ini untuk bergabung bersama dengan kami. Sampai bertemu di ibadah selanjutnya. Tuhan Yesus memberkati.